Going, vamos a grabar y buenos días, feliz miércoles. Aquí llovió anoche, ¿no vio?
Sí,
Llovió también en Scottsdale.
sí,
Bien, bien.
mucha.
Perfecto.
Sí.
No ha llovido como todo el invierno, pero anoche sí llovió y muy bien. Okay. We've got two more classes today and next week. And then we've got a little bit of a pause till the spring class starts. I believe it is the first week of April. I don't have the exact date at my fingertips. ¿Cuál es la fecha? ¿Cuál es la fecha? Creo que el 7, I believe the 7th will be the first day of the spring courses, April 7th. Uh, and if I am incorrect on that, I will correct it later in the email. But okay, a ver, what I want to do is tie up in a bow, I hope, some of the issues with past tenses. And maybe have a little, take any questions you had from last week's video and any conversation you want to do about that, which was the health related video, the hospitalization video, which is kind of an interesting thing. Um, and well, any other things that come up. We do have some readings as well. We'll see how much we have time for. A ver, bueno, entonces, vamos a empezar aquí con la diferencia. This is just to show you what's the difference in the different kinds of past tenses and what they mean. I'm going to watch a little application video on this to see if you've got any questions. And we've got this video, but I could, uh, you know what, we'll pull up a spontaneous one or two other examples too to show you the difference. Oh, and I'll try to voy a engrandecer esto. I'm going to make this bigger so it's easier to see on your screen. La diferencia entre las formas del pasado. For a lot of people, hearing in a story, hearing in conversation, different forms of past might feel a little uncomfortable, but it need not it, yeah, it need not always be uncomfortable. So we want to just show you the difference, and we'll create a couple other little examples here. Por ejemplo, sí, ver, and why they have. Oh, and we got a lot of feedback going on. I think that's from Carrie.
Sorry.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, you might want to put yourself on mute, Carrie. I think you got a feedback thing going on there, and it'll probably get corrected as we move on here. So, ver, sí, si hablamos de un verbo como ver, sí, vi, I saw, and it's just talking about one event, okay? One event that's over, easily defined with a beginning and end, right? Uh, Vi, por ejemplo, si vi a mi vecino ayer. I saw my neighbor yesterday. But when we change it into that imperfecto, it becomes, oop, we still got feedback, Carrie. Lo siento.
I'll get out.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my video to work. I'm turning off.
Oh, and you've got two screens going. That might be why you have feedback. There we go. Hopefully she gets that corrected. Okay. Veía, ok, el imperfecto, muchas veces. Indica muchas veces. O used to, ¿sí? Veía a mis primos todos los veranos. I used to see my cousins every summer. Okay, something that's repeated or used to be done, but we don't know how often, but it was more than once. Okay. A habit often indicates a habit, often indicates a description, although with ver it wouldn't be a description so much. And then these two things, which are tiempos compuestos, are compound tenses, which we have in English as well. Okay. And the that means we're combining haber, a form of haber, with that past participle. Okay. So the only thing you kind of have to watch out for with this is that the past participle always stays the same. No matter who does the action, there's no such thing as a feminine form for the compound tense. For the compound tense. And I'll show you the difference because sometimes these words, like the word visto, which is a past participle, visto can be used in more than one context. But when a word like visto, a past participle, is used with haber, it can only be part of the verb tense that is a compound tense. So, he visto, I have seen, he visto a tu esposa, I have seen your wife at some time, right? This, para que sepan, so that you know, this he visto, this thing which we call present perfect, and it doesn't matter that you know what it's called, but present perfect is a super common verb in Spain. And it is super common to talk about anything you did like today, in the timeline of today. Spaniards love to use this. He visto a tu esposa. But Latin Americans use this he visto less. Okay. And they certainly don't use it in Latin America to talk about everything that happened in today's timeline. They will just use the plain old pretérito be instead of he visto. Okay. In Spain, if they want to talk about what I saw on TV while I was having my morning coffee, and now it's just like 10 o'clock or noon or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they'll use the he visto always for what happened in today's timeline, right? I won't say always, but often it is favored. But in Latin America, they will not favor that. They will favor pretérito, okay? So this in Latin America is more favored for the have you ever, right? At some time kind of idea. But this does happen to put this next one, the pluscuamperfecto, the past perfect, is used uh, to denote something that happened quite long ago. So había visto, and haber goes into an imperfecto form. It does not get, haber is not used in pretérito for this. It's used in the imperfecto, which is great because it's a super regular form in imperfecto, right? Había, sabíamos, etc. Había visto a tu esposa. I had seen your wife. And then it's going to be paired up with something else that happened later, more recently. Okay, but the había visto a tu esposa would indicate this happened way before the next thing. And I need to connect another idea to this idea of había visto. Okay. Um, Okay. A ver. So really, it would be more representative for me to change this había visto a tu esposa a little bit so that you hear why it's used. It's used because I'm comparing two sets of events, and one is earlier than the other. So really, in order for this to make more sense in context, truly make sense in context, I need to have something else that's not that tense, that is plain old preterite, more than likely than not. Había visto a tu esposa um, mm, ante cuando tú me llamaste. I had seen your wife when you called me. Often it's got to be combined with a different thing that is not in this structure, right? Tú me llamaste, tú con acento. Um, Bien. And the reason for this había visto is to put the two, both past events in order. So you know which one happened before the other. Okay. Bien. Para comparar, just to compare, we'll take another verb to show how all the different past tenses look. Okay. A ver, ¿cómo? Comer.
Could
Algo.
Marilyn,
Oh,
Marilyn,
sí,
could you
sí,
choose
sí.
a verb? Could you choose a regular verb?
Could I choose a regular verb? Sí, 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 sí. Claro, sí. Comer. Muy regular. Very regular. Sí. Comer. Comí. I ate. That's just plain old pretérito. Okay. Let me make sure I've got my things lined up. Sí. Oh, I don't see. Uh, Comer. I ate, and it's just one simple activity, right? Uh, Bien. But if we change it to comía, it's got to mean something like I used to eat. Or maybe I was eating when something else happened to interrupt it. Okay. So I will only switch to comía if I want to talk about a repeated event. Como por ejemplo, en nuestra familia comíamos pollo asado todos los domingos. Bien, right? In our family, we used to have roast chicken every Sunday. Okay, a repeated event. Or I might need to use comía if, again, I'm talking about two things and one was going on in the background and then something else interrupted it. Like, comía la cena. Ah, cuando ah, alguien tocó a la puerta. Okay? I was eating. There is the background action, something that was going on when someone knocked on the door. And the knocked on the door interrupted the eating. The eating was going on before knock, knock, knock. Yeah. And in the middle of knock, 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 and probably a little bit after, because I have to, pause and get up from the table, a little bit after the knock, knock, knock on the door. So I only switch to comía if I've got one of these two scenarios, something that was repeated a lot. It was kind of a habit, right? Or frequent, or many, many, many times, but I don't know how often. Or if it's setting the scene of saying what was going on, and then an interrupting event comes and happens in the middle of that. Okay. So the comía, la cena here is kind of more of a background action because there's going to be an interrupting event that is going to be something key in whatever story you're telling of, what happened. So imperfecto has a couple of jobs, but if all you need to say is, I did this thing, boom, and it's done, like comer, pretérito is what you want, okay? In Spain, if I ate and it was just a few hours ago, what they prefer is something like this. He comido muy irregular. This is a very regular one. Comido es muy irregular. There's a regular participle, see? He comido. He comido, right? I have eaten. And the past perfect will be había comido. I had eaten. Okay. So the had part is the había, right? The have part here is the but comido is always comido. Bien? Okay. So you can see there is a little nuance in how that past activity happens based on which past tense is used. Make sense? See? Bien? Okay. Vale. Um, momentito. All right, we'll take that off. We've got a relatively short little video I want to play for you where she will talk about use of this, and I think I've got our captions on. We'll go. So she's going to illustrate this, our friend Guada. I do leave the subtitles on though, since she speaks a little bit quickly. Okay, para ilustrar, to illustrate.
Tengo un problema.
Oh, I mean,
Tengo un problema con Cádiz.
I've got a problem with Cádiz. Cádiz es la ciudad donde ella vive. Sí, Cádiz es una ciudad en el sur, sí, una ciudad de playa, una ciudad con mucho turismo, pero muy al sur, sí. Oh, y no queremos inglés. We don't want English for that. Pu, 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 pu. Aquí, bien. Ok.
Sí, tengo un problema con Cádiz, la ciudad donde vivo. Te voy a contar mi historia con esta ciudad para que aprendas un poquito de español en contexto y al final del vídeo tienes que adivinar cuál es mi problema con Cádiz y escribirlo en los comentarios. Sí, y también tengo un problema con mi vecino que no deja de hacer ruido, ¿lo oyes? Pam,
I also have a problem with my neighbor who's not stopping making noise. Y lo oyes, you hear him. Pam, 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 pam.
pam, pam, pam. Mi vecino lleva así todo el día haciendo ese ruido. He estado esperando para grabar este vídeo, pero
Ah, yeah. Bien. So she was waiting to film, but the neighbor isn't stopping the
no
noise.
para, no para, no para.
No para, no para, no para. He's not stopping. He's not stopping. No para, no para, no para. That's not the para of for. It's the this para. Es el verbo, ¿sí? La forma de parar.
Así que lo siento, voy a grabar el vídeo así y de vez en cuando escucharás este ruido. Lo siento. Ya tengo mi té, así que estoy preparada para contaros mi historia.
And I want you to notice here is a past participle that does change to a feminine form, but it's not a compound tense. So here you hear an example of what happens to the word preparado when we take that participle and we're not using it as a compound tense. We're using it as an adjective. That can happen too. And when I use a past participle as an adjective, an example like this is estoy preparada, I am prepared. And the prepared doesn't mean she's preparing like a meal, right? It means I am the state of being ready, right? Estoy preparada. And there, that preparada is a description, and therefore these past participles can go into a feminine form or plural forms when they're used as adjectives. The same word you learned very early in your journey in Spanish of enojado is the same kind of word. Enojado, angry, mad. Enojado is a past participle. Yeah. So estoy enojado is what a man would say. I am angry. Estoy enojada. Enojada. See, if I'm a woman, I am angry. Los chicos están enojados. The kids are angry. Then enojado will change because the context of his use is not that it is a verb anymore, right? It's not part of that compound two-piece compound tense setup. So,
So,
okay.
so if she had said, I have prepared, then it would be back to the present perfect compound verbs.
So sí, he preparado mi té. I have prepared my tea. She had a little cup of tea, right? He preparado. Preparado is talking about what she did with the tea bag and the hot water. Yeah. But estoy preparada talks about her mental, emotional, work-related state is, right? So when you hear something like estoy preparada or estoy preparado, that is not a verb tense. That preparado or preparada word is a description. Yeah. And as a description will change in gender and number, like all descriptions do in Spanish. See, Lori.
So basically, it becomes as long as if you don't see it with a conjugated form of haber, either present or past, then you have to make it match with gender
The
and
thing it is talking about, yes,
okay.
because then it's describing a person or a thing. And I'll try to show you a few more examples after the video on this, because I think this was a point of confusion for some people. And this is actually a normal thing to find a little bit confusing. These ado or ido words have more than one function. Okay. They fall even though the word is spelled the same, it might be acting in its job as a describer or acting in, I'm paired up with a form of haber to make a verb tense. It's got
It
two
just makes
jobs.
it makes it easier for me to think, okay, unless it's with, so I don't have to think, oh, is this an adjective or is this part of a verb? You know, just basically if I know, okay, it's paired with the form of a verb,
And
then
that's it. See,
I'm done. And
see,
otherwise, I have to, make it match.
right. See, exacto. And we'll go back to our after this, we'll go back to our screen and show you some examples of that.
Con esta ciudad. Yo me mudé aquí a Cádiz hace casi 2 años, pero antes había vivido durante muchos años en Italia.
Okay. Ooh, let's stop that right there. We'll back it up a little bit so you can see the whole sentence. She's got two past events, right? But her intention is to say that one thing happened prior to the other past event. So, me mudé a Cádiz. I moved to Cádiz hace casi 2 años, almost 2 years ago. Pero antes, before I moved, yeah, había vivido muchos años en Italia. I had lived in Italy for many, many years. And because that is earlier than I picked up and moved, that is earlier, the Italia part, it's got to be había vivido, okay, to indicate that that was the earlier of the two events.
Durante muchos años en Italia. Había vivido en diferentes zonas de Italia. Como sabéis,
I had lived in different areas of Italia.
yo antes vivía en Italia y antes de eso también había vivido en la República Checa.
Antes vivía en Italia. Before, I used to live in Italy. Y había vivido en Praga, and I had lived in Prague. And Prague came when in relation to Italy? Before, earlier. So the very earliest, the había vivido en Praga gets pushed way back. Oh, that gets pushed back before even Italy. Yeah? Así, bien.
En la ciudad de Praga. Yo nací y crecí en Cáceres, que es una ciudad pequeña, una ciudad que a mí cuando era adolescente me parecía una ciudad muy aburrida.
I grew up in a city called Cáceres. It's a little city, And and now she tells, and again, when I was a teenager, cuando era adolescente, when I was a teenager, me parecía, it seemed to me, meaning Cáceres, the place where she grew up, parecía una ciudad muy aburrida. The place where I grew up seemed really boring to me. And all of that, era adolescente, is description when I was a teenager. And it felt like a boring place. That's how I what used to feel. That's all description, yeah? All imperfecto.
Yo pensaba que esa ciudad no podía ofrecerme nada. Entonces yo siempre
No me podía ofrecerme nada. I used to think that that city could not offer me anything.
había querido vivir en una ciudad grande, siempre había querido vivir en Madrid o en Barcelona, en una ciudad grande con movimiento, siempre había querido mudarme al extranjero.
Siempre había querido mudarme a otro país, al extranjero. Extranjero es abroad. See, I had always wanted to live abroad. And she's talking about how the way she felt long, when she was growing up, when she was really, really super young.
Para practicar los idiomas que había aprendido y por eso a los 20 años, cuando tenía 20 años, me fui a descubrir el mundo.
A los 20 años me fui. I took off. ¿Ya? Me fui a descubrir el mundo. I took off to discover the world. Y me fui, and when she hit 20, boom, out of here. I'm out of this stinking little town, she says to herself. Yeah.
Y yo estaba muy bien, primero en Praga, después en diferentes ciudades de Italia, estaba muy contenta. Pero
And now, description, estaba muy contenta. I was happy.
llegó el año 2020, llegó la pandemia.
Llegó, and then came this year. And llegó el año 2020, and then came 2020. And that's a llegó because it's 1 year and it came. And yes, it came in hard.
La verdad es que yo antes de la pandemia nunca me había planteado volver a vivir a España. Nunca
Antes de la pandemia nunca había pensado. Before the pandemic, I had never thought about coming back to Spain. Nunca había pensado en volver a España. Okay? And in this case, of course, it's a negative because it's got the nunca. I had never thought about this. And that puts it way back in the past.
había pensado en volver a vivir en España, pero ese año, el año 2020, me cambió. Igual que cambió a muchas personas, porque durante el año 2020 pasé muchísimo tiempo en casa, mucho tiempo.
Pasé mucho tiempo in 2020. I spent a lot of time at home. They had lockdowns, right?
Encerrada, metida en casa,
Encerrada.
sin poder salir.
And there's another great example. Mucho tiempo encerrada. Pasé mucho tiempo encerrada. And this encerrada is talking about guada. That's why it's in a feminine form. She's talking about the lockdown. Yeah. Encerrada means closed in. Cooped up. Yeah. Cooped up. Metida is also a participle. Yeah. And she's talking about the lockdown. Shut up at home. Closed in at home. Encerrada, metida. Metida means put into the house. Okay?
Y empecé a pensar, me gustaría poder vivir cerca del mar, vivir en un lugar donde haga buen tiempo y poder salir más.
Gee, I'd like to, yeah, now all the daydreams that happen while you're shut up by yourself, right? Encerrada, metida, closed up in your house, all these thoughts, de poder vivir cerca del mar. I'm all these thoughts of like to live near the ocean.
a la calle, empecé a
Place where it's nice weather.
soñar con vivir en un sitio con mejor clima. Y
Oh, I'd like to live someplace with better weather.
empecé a tener la enfermedad de la mayoría de los españoles cuando salimos al extranjero, que es la enfermedad de querer volver a España. Ya sabéis
And the sickness of a Spaniard who leaves Spain is the wanting to come home to Spain.
que yo trabajo en línea y puedo trabajar desde cualquier lugar del mundo. Así que
Oh, I can work online and I can work from any place in the world, cualquier lugar, any place at all. Cualquier means any at all. Cualquier lugar, any place at all del mundo, in the world.
para mí no era un problema mudarme, pero no vivo sola. Mi pareja, mi marido, tiene un trabajo más tradicional. Entonces,
Ah, but the problem was her husband had a more traditional job. Okay, so while she could work from anywhere, he could not.
no podíamos mudarnos
We were not able to move. No podíamos mudarnos
hasta que no encontráramos un trabajo para él. Y el
until he
destino
found another job.
quiso que él encontrara una oportunidad laboral aquí, en Cádiz. Yo antes
Destino, fate. Fate had it that he happened to find. He succeeded in finding a job in Cádiz.
nunca había pensado en vivir en Andalucía.
Ah, nunca había pensado. Never before, way before, had I thought about living in Andalucía. Okay.
Pero en ese momento me pareció la solución perfecta. Cádiz tiene buen clima y además está muy cerca de mi familia. Así
Perfect weather, close to family.
que ni cortos ni perezosos, ni cortos ni perezosos, de
No doubt, without any doubt.
forma muy decidida, sin pensarlo demasiado, nos mudamos a Cádiz. Aunque antes no habíamos estado nunca aquí. O sea, yo me
Nos mudamos a Cádiz, pero antes nunca habíamos estado aquí. We moved to Cádiz, but we had never been here. Nunca habíamos estado aquí.
me mudé a esta ciudad sin haber estado aquí. Antes nunca había estado en Cádiz, no conocía nada de esta ciudad. Y cuando llegué aquí, me enamoré. Esas calles
Me
tan
enamoré. When I got here, I fell in love with it. Me enamoré. I fell in love with it.
bonitas del centro
Enamorarse es to fall in love.
y estar rodeada de playa y del mar por todas
Oh, and here's another great rodeada. Here's another participle, but it describes, está rodeada is surrounded. Yeah. And we're not combining it with haber. Rodeada is describing the city. Yeah. Está rodeada de playa. It is surrounded by beach and the sea y del mar.
partes. Yo nunca había vivido tan cerca de la playa, así es que yo en 5 minutos puedo estar bañándome en la playa. Yo nunca había estado tan en contacto con el mar.
Nunca había vivido tan cerca del mar. I had never lived so close to the beach, to the sea. Okay.
Se come muy bien y es
You
muy
eat well
fácil
here.
y todavía puede ser incluso económico comer fuera,
it's
¿vale? Yo antes
pretty
nunca había
affordable.
salido tanto a comer fuera como he salido durante
Okay. Bien, bien. Digo, nunca había salido tanto a comer. I had never gone out to eat so much. Eat out. ¿Ya? Nunca había salido tanto a comer fuera. I had never gone out to eat outside the home as much as I have now, as I have in the last couple of years.
como he salido durante estos 2 años aquí, porque, bueno, todavía existen bares tradicionales españoles en los que puedes tapear sin gastar demasiado dinero. La verdad que yo no estaba
Places
acostumbrada
where you can still eat and like eat tapas kind of cheaply. Yeah, tapear is turning the word tapas, those kind of hors d'oeuvre thing. They're, it's a late afternoon snack. Yeah. So tapear is the action of eating tapas.
a salir tanto a comer fuera. Y aunque es un poco irónico contar esto hoy, que está diluviando, ¿vale? Está lloviendo muchísimo y entonces
And she's just talking about how it's dumping rain outside right
resulta un
now,
poco
even though they have great
irónico
weather.
contarlo hoy. Nunca había vivido en una ciudad con este clima tan
Ah, bien, nunca había vivido en una ciudad con este clima tan bueno. I had never lived in a city with such a nice climate, with such good weather as this, even though it's raining right now as she's recording this. See?
estupendo. He tenido que vender algunos abrigos, alguna ropa de invierno que ya no necesito. Y es que yo antes de vivir aquí nunca me había puesto una camiseta de manga corta en el mes de diciembre. Y sin embargo aquí he empezado el año en la playa con un montón de gente bañándose. Yo no, porque el Atlántico está muy frío. Pero en manga corta y tomando el sol como si fuera un día de primavera.
So she's talking about you can be out there in short sleeves. Manga corta is short sleeves. You can be out there in your short sleeves
El
because
1
the
de
weather
enero.
is so
Y
nice.
eso no lo había hecho nunca. Nunca en mi vida. Y lo más sorprendente de todo es que yo antes siempre había querido viajar por el mundo,
Okay, I had always wanted, había querido viajar por el mundo. I had always wanted to travel throughout the
vivir
world.
muchas experiencias, vivir en muchas ciudades diferentes. Yo nunca había querido comprar una casa, siempre he vivido
Nunca había querido comprar una casa. I had never wanted to buy a house.
de alquiler, este es un piso de alquiler. A mí antes no me importaba tener una casa bonita, no me importaba, me daba igual, yo nunca
I
había
didn't care
querido
about having
tener
a
mi
house
casa
before.
y comprar mis cosas y mis plantas, me daba igual, pero ahora quiero comprar una casa, me imagino un futuro aquí, empieza a molestarme tener todas mis cosas en cajas y es que esta ciudad me encanta. Me encanta, me gusta muchísimo. Y a mí eso antes nunca me había pasado. Yo había sido muy feliz en muchos sitios
Nunca me había pasado. It had never happened to me. Like being settled in a place and, thinking about your future in this one town, it had never happened to her.
diferentes, pero nunca había sentido esas ganas, ese deseo de vivir para siempre en un lugar o en una zona. ¿Qué hago? Como veis, durante esta historia he usado muchas veces, muchísimas veces, el tiempo verbal con el nombre más largo del mundo, el pluscuamperfecto de indicativo.
That's the name of the tense. Pluscuamperfecto. That's a real Latin term originally.
Tengo que respirar para decir esa palabra tan larga. El pluscuamperfecto es el tiempo que usamos para hablar de un momento del pasado anterior a otro momento del pasado. Por ejemplo, sí, yo antes vivía en Italia. Esto está en el pasado, ¿veis? Y uso el imperfecto. Vivía en Italia. Pero antes había vivido en España, había vivido en Cáceres, porque yo nací en Cáceres, ¿veis? Entonces, punto del pasado, usamos los pasados que ya conocemos. Estuve, estaba, he estado. Y antes de ese momento pasado, usamos el pluscuamperfecto. Había estado. Que se forma con el imperfecto del verbo haber. Yo había, tú habías, él había, nosotros habíamos, vosotros habíais y ellos habían. Y el participio de los verbos hacer, hecho, ser, sido, estar, estado, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. ¿Vale? Si estás dentro de mi club para practicar español, puedes descargar el PDF con todas las formas del pluscuamperfecto y una explicación más detallada. También un PDF con ejercicios para practicar y, por supuesto, puedes participar en las clases en grupo de este mes en las que vamos a practicar con este tiempo verbal, entre otras cosas, por supuesto, como siempre. Y si todavía no estás en el club y te interesa,
Okay. Eso es todo. I just wanted to get through her little story para que sepan so that you could hear how she talked about her prior experiences in her life. Bien? ¿Sí? Okay. Para contexto, for context. Okay. So you won't always need it, but you do sometimes need it. So I'm going to tag one extra thing on to the end of this, and that is like the examples you had, preparada Preparada meant prepared, but as in a person or a thing being prepared that is in the state. Oops. A preparedness. Yeah, is that a word? I guess it is. Yeah. So preparada, it talks about the state the person or the object is. See? Mi hijo no está preparado para plantar todo en el jardín. He's not prepared to plant everything in the garden, right? So preparada might have to change to preparado or preparadas or preparados. Bien, other words that do that are words like enojado. Enojado might have to be to describe a woman, enojada, right? Cansado might have to change to cansada or cansados or cansadas. All of those things that are the ado ido, if they're not paired up with haber, it means they're a description. Even going back to comer, comido. Comido, if it's not paired up with haber, it just means eaten, right? And there is a phrase that people use all the time, pan comido. Pan comido is a little saying. It says, it means literally eaten bread, but it's like saying, uh, ooh, something is super easy, right? Como por ejemplo, sí,
Piece of cake?
yeah, piece of cake, piece of cake. We use a different food
Right.
item. Yeah, it's easy as pie or piece of cake. Piece of cake would be probably more common, yeah? Something is a piece of cake. Anything that is like super easy to do, right? Por ejemplo, registrar tu carro para la placa, registering your car for your license, sí. Registrar el carro con el estado de Arizona, sí, para la placa for your driver's plate, sí. Es pan comido. It's easy. Es pan comido. Sí, parece complicado. Parece complicado. The act seems, complicated. Sí, pero no, es pan comido. No, it's easy. ¿Entienden? ¿Sí?
Sí.
Bien. So you will sometimes hear these ado and ido forms. But used as adjectives. So if they are not used with haber, it means they're being used as adjectives in all probability. Bien? We good?
Sí,
See?
sí.
Okay. Because that does happen. Even with pan comido, something as easy as pie. Bien. Okay.
Can we do something next week where we have to practice that? Can we do something
Sure.
that
Practice
makes
all
us,
the tenses or just the
well, yeah, all would be good, but
participles?
I think we have to get comfortable with the present and past, but try some of those where we're actually saying them.
Okay. See.
What does everybody else think? I don't know.
Three.
I like practice.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I think we need to, then
Okay.
at some point we could do all of them.
Vale. So, so, but more focused on that participle or
Yeah.
more focused on the participle. When the
For
participle
this
combines with
time.
the verb
Right,
versus when it's used as a description.
right.
Sí, lo podemos hacer. We can do that. That will take a little thought, but that I want to I'll devise something that will be workable. Bien.
Marilyn, when you're using it as a description, is it usually just in the present tense? Like, I am tired, or
Often it'll be used with estar, but sometimes not even with estar. But often with estar. So those kind of ado ido words often combine with estar, but that doesn't mean they're making a verb tense if it combines with estar. It means they're
okay.
being a description.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
I'm going to show you a couple more examples of that. Oop.
so a star would be conjugated then for past, or
Estar will be conjugated, and that ado ido thing will not be part of a verb tense. It'll be a description.
okay.
Okay. Like this thing, parece complicado. It seems complicated. Yeah. And complicated is talking about, I don't know, a process of ordering your license plate tag. Yeah. Parece complicado means it seems, whatever action you're doing, right? Complicated. Okay. And complicated is the description of the process. Okay. Bien. Otro ejemplo. But many times it will combine. So there with parece, it wasn't combined with estar. See, it'll pop up at different times. Let's look at a really classic time it will pop up, though, is
But
like with
that's a present
estar.
tense, right?
Sí, sí,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Okay.
it. But you know, it could be parecía complicado. It seemed complicated. It could be any
Okay.
tense. Parecer could be in any tense at
Okay.
all. But that complicado will always be complicado because it's talking about describing the activity of ordering that license plate. ¿Sí? O, por ejemplo, sí, los chicos estaban, let's take a pass, estaban emocionados, estaban emocionados antes del baile prom. The kids were excited before the prom dance. See? Estaban. So these kind of ado ido words are often combined with estar, often because they're descriptions, right? Estar talks about descriptions of a state or a condition somebody or something is in. See? Emocionado is excited, but emocionado is not describing anything the kids are doing. It's describing the kids, how they feel. It's talking about what emotional state they're in. See? Well, yeah, I will probably both find an online and create some examples for how we'll use that. So these words often morph and they can cause confusion. But see, emocionado here is not talking about anything they are doing. It's not talking about an action. It's how they feel. It's working with estar to talk about how they feel because estar is for location and how people feel emotionally or health-wise. See? It makes a little more sense, Mariana? Yeah.
Thank you.
But I can see we'll grab some examples to put that into practice because yeah, the only way to get more comfortable with it is to see a whole bunch of examples, right? Muchísimos ejemplos. And I'll try to construct something that will be very pointed to do that for next week. Buena sugerencia, good suggestion. Muchísimas gracias. Ok. Aquí, ahora. Adelante, adelante. Quiero saber. I want to know. Quiero saber. I want to know if you have questions about this kind of complicated video. Fue difícil. Was it hard? Sí, fue difícil. Un poquito.
Sí, sí.
Sí, las definiciones de las palabras, sí. es algo complicado, más complicado. That's something more complicated, which is why I gave you a vocab sheet along with it. I want to know if you have any questions about how a particular phrase was structured here or anything you did not get. Sí, Lori.
Minuto 9 y 15, no, 9:50.
Química
Oh,
sanguínea
9:50. Okay. Uy, ay, 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 ay.
The phrase
le
me
habían puesto
habían
ya
puesto analgésicos, like why
medicamentos para
they, yes.
Oh, we can now be on puesto. Let's back it up just a little bit.
hicieron los estudios y vamos a esperar
They did the studies. Hicieron los estudios. They did the studies, meaning the blood studies, yeah.
a tu médico tratante. Nuestro médico
We're
llegó
waiting for your treating doctor, your attending doctor. We would say use attending doctor. They use tratante, treating doctor.
alrededor de las 12 de la noche, más o
Your doctor arrived at this time, plain old pretérito.
menos. Le entregaron los estudios.
They gave her the studies, meaning the blood work. They gave her the blood work results.
Para esto Ana ya estaba controlada, le habían puesto ya
Está controlada. She was controlled. She was like, her pain was being managed. But look at that, controlada. Yeah? It's talking about Ana and the state she was in. It's combined with a form of estar. And it's talking about the past. So it's not está controlada, estaba controlada. Estaba controlada. Le habían puesto, they had
medicamentos para el dolor.
they had put her on medicines. La habían puesto, sí, en medicamentos. They had already put her on medicines for
Por fin
pain.
me habían puesto analgésicos.
Exactamente.
Me habían puesto analgésicos. They had put analgesics, the painkiller. ¿Sí? Bien?
Sí.
Me habían puesto, they had put me on. And that puesto is the past participle of poner, to put. And in medical speak, when they put you on a medication, often this form of me habían puesto, they had put me on something. So it's
'Cause,
a
yeah,
talk about giving the medicine.
It can kind of confuse me because I thought they would have she used tomar or dar for that instead. So it just
Could
kind of confused
have.
me a little.
Okay, buena observación. They could have chosen to have done that. Ella tomó medicamentos. She took medications. So why did he choose to use that, or she choose to say, me habían puesto? Because the emphasis is that they were doing all these things to her. Yeah. Not that I took medicine, but they put me on medicine. And so the idea she wants to communicate is what they, enfermeras, médicos, what the doctors and nurses are putting on her. Me habían puesto analgésicos, analgésicos. They put me on painkillers. ¿Sí? ¿Bien?
Y después de
uno
un ratito
más.
ya me dejaron a mí pasar con ella ahí a la sala de urgencias. Ya
And after a while, they let me come on out with her. Sí, Lori?
At about 11:10, just kind of that section there.
Okay.
I mean, you translated one of the phrases for it, like it finally hits me.
Oh, sí, sí, sí,
But
sí, sí, sí.
before that, just kind of like that little general stretch of conversation.
Entendido. Yeah. Okay. So the idea here is they're talking about the lead up right before, like this is a great big weird thing that's happening that you're getting this surgery, like, sí, salió de la nada, came out of nowhere. Came out of the blue, yeah. Salió de nada, came out of nothing.
No, no puedo dormir.
Sí, ni ella
Can't sleep. Okay, they're talking about, oh, they told her to sleep. Yeah, that's not happening.
ni yo dormimos realmente.
Ujú.
Apagamos la luz en el cuarto, pero estábamos muy despiertos. Finalmente, ustedes saben, es un poco un shock. Ana estaba muy tranquila, pero
Yeah, it's kind of a shock. She was perfectly calm and
pues
okay.
de venir de hacer un día normal a que de repente unas horas después, en vez de estar
And you have a totally normal day, and
dormido en tu
then,
cama con tu bebé, estás acostado en una cama de hospital. Es como,
Sí.
wow,
yeah, moving from being in bed with your kid, your little baby, to being in a hospital bed. And here's a weird phrase coming up.
wow.
Sí.
Cuesta un poco de trabajo,
Cuesta un poco de trabajo. Cuesta
That
un
one.
poco de trabajo. It costs a little bit of work. It's kind of hard for you. Yeah. Cuesta un poco de trabajo. It's kind of hard for you.
pues que te caiga el 20, ¿no?
Ajá, pero
Que te caiga el 20. The 20 falls on you. This is a funny phrase. I did put it in your vocabulary set, yeah? Uh, que te caiga el 20 is a colloquial phrase. I think it is only used in Mexico, maybe Latin America, not sure, but it comes from the act of, how you used to have a payphone and you would drop coins in the little slots at the top of the payphone? That's what that phrase comes from. So it's a very colloquial thing. Que te caiga el 20 is kind of like saying all of a sudden reality hits you. And it comes from the action long ago of inserting coins into the little slots in a payphone, because all of a sudden the coins fall and something connects. That's what it comes from. What an odd origin for a phrase, but that's where that comes from. Bien? Curioso. Curioso. Bien. Okay. ¿Hay más? Any other questions in there? Oh, no. No, nada? Bien? Okay.
Marilyn, just one quick thing. They don't let you leave the hospital until you pay your bill and the doctor.
I guess. I've never had to do that, but yeah. Yeah, yeah, they had to make sure that the insurance portion of that was paid up and that the doctor's fee was paid up. And this kind of happens to us in different ways. Yeah, that whole thing, we're used to a bill coming. And have you ever gotten a medical bill like 3 months after the event? Oh, yeah. Sometimes with us, it lags so far behind, you're like, why am I getting this bill? Oh, it's from that emergency room visit. Yeah. And it lags way behind. Apparently you're
Because
paying
like
up front.
that just seems weird to me because in this country it's like get them out, get them out, get them out because they need the beds because
Yeah,
there's
they need the
people
bed.
waiting downstairs in the ER.
Yeah, it does seem kind of odd. Now, you've got to keep in mind too, there's kind of a double system thing. A lot of people have private insurance, which he talked about with seguros
That's what
here.
I was wondering if they were at a private
So
hospital because they mentioned about a public hospital
there
too.
is a public hospital, there is a public system, and many countries do have a system like that, by the way, where you will be put in line waiting to get a procedure done if it's all done purely through the public funding uh, sector, okay, of everybody being under the same payment. Whereas if you've got private, you can speed that up. In a case like an appendix, obviously, appendicitis with that, you're not going to let somebody die because, oh, we're putting you in line. But yeah, still, he had insurance thing to deal with, which was sort
And
of, yeah.
this was like about 15 years or so ago. Some friends of mine, they went down to Peru and one of them ended up in the hospital. There was no glass in the windows. Uh,
Okay.
when yeah, I think it was like a small village that they were in. Um, like she needed medication, so thank God they were nurses too. So her friend went and she had to go, you get the prescription, you had to go to the pharmacy, pay for the medicine, and bring it back for the staff to deliver to administer. It was, and they took pictures of the equipment, and it was like the stuff that I had used like 20 years before in the military. So it was really old stuff, but it was kind of scary that like you had to pay for your medicine up front or you didn't get it.
Yeah. Uh, so I guess, yeah, what do we take away from that? You have to be prepared for adventure if you
Yes.
yeah, have an incident abroad sometimes. It really does depend, and the possible variations in different countries are just tremendous. You do hear a lot of YouTube people talking about Americans being expats in places like Ecuador and, Peru, where they have great services. But when people go to live there versus traveling, if you travel and you get sick, it's sudden and it's unexpected. If you go as an expat to live, you do have to really investigate what the process is with, seguros, insurance, and all that stuff, because it can get complicated in a real hurry. Bien. Ok. Bueno, ¿hay otra pregunta o no? No, no, no. Okay. The reason I had wanted you guys to see that video was, well, partially for the medical. It's sort of interesting just for the medical vocabulary, but also he used a great variety of past tenses, yeah. And if you didn't notice that the first time, go back and check it out again, right? He'll talk about things that happened, boom, 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 al pretérito. He'll talk about descriptions in the past where he goes into imperfecto. Um, and you do have some of these past perfect structures too for things that happened earlier. So it's a real mix, but a real story will have a real mix. That's the way it is. Bien. Vale. And okay. Um, okay. Adelante. Adelante. I'm looking really quickly to see if I can get oh yeah, see. No, okay. I thought I was going to find a quick reference on your participle question. We'll come back to that next week so that I have something well thought out and well planned for that. Okay, a ver. Uh, pam, 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 pam. Bien. Algo de leer. Let's see if we can do a little off the cuff reading. Estoy normal, una historia bastante normal. No es muy complicado, pero sí es interesante y es breve, ¿sí? And do notice there'll be tenses all mixed in here, ¿sí? Bien. Um, es un artículo, sí, creo que este artículo apareció en New York Times, ¿sí? Una empresa china, empresa es compañía, ¿verdad? Compañía, company. Tenemos la palabra inglesa enterprise, que es una compañía, sí, claro, sí. Una empresa china. A Chinese company. Dice a sus trabajadores solteros, says to its, what kind of workers?
Single.
Single, sí. Soltero es single, unmarried. Ok. Dice a sus trabajadores solteros, cásate o vete.
Get married or go?
Get married or get the hell out.
Oh,
Whoa. Ok. Yau. Pueden adivinar por qué me interesa. You can understand why this caught my eye. Ok.
yeah.
Bien. Mientras el gobierno chino, while the Chinese government se preocupa, is worried. Yeah.
Yeah.
Se preocupa por el descenso de la natalidad,
The decline of births.
decline in the birth rate. Sí, natalidad would be the birth rate. Sí, el descenso is like descend. Yeah. Ah, algunos empresarios privados. Here's a great participle. Privados describes what kind of empresarios they are, what kind of companies they are. They are not state-owned companies. They are private companies. And we don't even have the estar there. Yeah. It's just saying that they are not state-run companies. They are private companies. Algunos, some, and it's not saying all, some, algunos empresarios privados han ordenado a los trabajadores que pongan de su parte. It has some private companies have ordered workers to do their
To do their part.
to do their part, que pongan de su parte. And we don't know if they're going to do their part or not. They're not doing their part yet. So it's a subjunctive because it isn't happening. Those birth rates have not yet gone up. Hey, people, start procreating. Here we go. Okay. Uh, shadowing, un poquito. Who wants to do some shadowing? Diana, ¿quieres? Un
Okay.
poquito. ¿Sí? ¿Bien?
Un más largo, por favor.
Un poquito más grande.
Más grande.
Bien, bien, bien. ¿Mejor? ¿Better?
Sí.
Mejor. Bien. Ok. Ah, mucho mejor. Ok. Bueno, el empleado ideal
El empleado ideal
del fabricante chino
del fabricante chino
de productos químicos,
de productos químicos,
según la nota interna,
según la nota interna,
according to an internal memo. ¿Sí? Es trabajador,
es trabajador,
virtuoso
virtuoso
y leal.
y leal.
The ideal employee of the Chinese chemical company, yeah, according to the internal memo, is hardworking, virtuous, and loyal. Y quizá lo más importante,
Y quizá lo más importante,
dispuesto a tener hijos
dispuesto a tener hijos
por el bien del país.
por el bien del país.
Ah, and maybe the most important thing, he is disposed, yeah, dispuesto. There is another past participle. It's describing the state he's in. He's ready. He's ready. He's ready to have kids for the good of the state. Ok, un poquito más, Diana, ¿sí? Ese fue el mensaje
Ese fue el mensaje
que una empresa química
que una empresa química
envió recientemente
envió recientemente
a los empleados solteros
a los empleados solteros
en un aviso
en un aviso
que se difundió
que se difundió
ampliamente
ampliamente
en las redes sociales.
en las redes sociales.
Okay. That was the message that a chemical company recently sent to single employees in, in a notice. Un aviso can be an advertisement, but un aviso, it's like a little proclamation in an announcement. In an announcement that put out, was put out ampliamente, widely, that was widely distributed on
Social media, the internet.
social media, on social media. Redes social. Redes are networks. So social networks are, yeah, Facebook, WhatsApp, wherever. See? Uh, les ordenaba
Les ordenaba
formar una familia
formar una familia
antes del 30 de septiembre.
antes del 30 de septiembre
O de lo contrario,
o de lo contrario,
serían despedidos.
serían despedidos.
Ah, they were ordering them to get a family going, see, before September 30th. O de lo contrario, or otherwise, they would be
Fired.
fired.
Wow.
Despedido is another ado ido word, and this is a description. Well, it's a state. They would be fired. Yeah. The state of not being employed. Ok, vale, bien. ¿Quién quiere continuar? Who'd like to move on a little bit? ¿Quién quiere? Sí, bueno, sí,
Whatever.
Marco, sí. Si no puedes casarte
Si no puedes casarte
y formar una familia
y formar una familia
en el plazo de 3 trimestres,
en el plazo de 3 trimestres,
la empresa rescindirá
y la empresa rescindirá
tu contrato laboral,
tu contrato laboral,
dijo la empresa.
dijo la empresa.
Sí. If you can't get married and form a family, and plazo means is a time period. Yeah. In the span of 3 trimesters. Wow. Where did that come from? I guess they're accounting for that pregnancy period. The company will do something, will do. And this is a true future tense, and this is a good use for true future tense. Rescindir means what it looks like in English. It's es un cognado. That's a cognate. It
It will
will
rescind your
rescind.
contract.
Rescind your your contract, your work contract. Bueno, excelente, Marcos. Vamos a continuar, Marcos. Aquí sí. Esta no fue la primera empresa
Esta no fue la primera empresa
que intentó mandar
que intentó mandar
en la vida personal
en la vida personal
de sus empleados
de sus empleados
en medio
en medio
de la creciente preocupación
de la creciente preocupación
por la caída severa
por la caída severa
de las tasas de matrimonio
de las tasas de matrimonio
y natalidad
y natalidad
en China.
en China.
Bien. This was not the first time that a company tried to intervene in the personal life of its employees. In the midst of a growing worry or preoccupation, por on account of, here's our por as an account of, because of the severe drop off in the matrimonial rate. And here, tasa is not talking about the same thing as in that turismo thing. A tasa here is not like a fee, it's a rate, a numerical rate. Okay. Severe drop off in the rate of marriage and births en China. Bueno, un poquito más, Marcos, por favor. Semanas antes,
Semanas antes,
una popular cadena
popular cadena
de supermercados,
de supermercados
and notice they're going to talk about what had happened before everything else. Había ordenado
había ordenado
a sus empleados.
a sus empleados
Okay, so weeks before, a popular supermarket chain had ordered its employees to not do something. Que no pidieran
que no pidieran
regalos de compromiso
regalos de compromiso
para disminuir
para disminuir,
el costo,
minuir,
perdón, disminuir.
disminuir
Bien, disminuir, sí, disminuir el costo de las bodas.
el costo de las bodas.
So there are certain cultural steps with a typical Chinese family, and companies are trying to intervene in cultural steps that may be putting up a financial roadblock to marriages. Weeks before, a popular supermarket chain had ordered its employees not to ask for engagement gifts. Gifts are apparently a thing and a costly thing. Que no pidieran. They had ordered them not to ask for this stuff. Don't ask for engagement gifts to lower the cost of weddings. Okay. They say
How
maybe the
how
problem.
how ironic that not that many years ago, China was in the other direction. We've got too many, too high a birth rate.
See, yeah. This is the 180 degree reversal. Oops, we don't have enough people to take care of all the elderly folks in our society. Oh, we are in trouble. Oops, 180 degree turn. Here we go. Okay, ¿quién quiere continuar? Lori, you want to continue? Or, sí, Lori, and then
Sí.
we'll take Mariana, ¿sí? Actualmente,
Actualmente,
and this is not actually, it is currently. Yeah. Actualmente does not mean actually. It looks like it should mean actually, but it means currently, like in right now. Okay. Actualmente, mucha gente se niega,
mucha gente se niega.
se niega. Many people are saying, yeah, se niega is a verb that means refusing. Se niega a formar una familia.
A formar una familia.
Many people are refusing, yeah. Negarse is to refuse. Además del costo económico
Además del costo económico
de tener hijos,
de tener hijos,
muchos jóvenes chinos
muchos jóvenes chinos
desean
desean
autonomía personal.
autonomía personal.
Besides the economic cost of having kids, many young Chinese wish for personal
Freedom,
autonomy.
autonomy.
Yeah. Hey, I want to do what I want to do. Muy normal. Well, we're kind of used to that. Rechazan la idea tradicional
Rechazan la idea tradicional
de que sus familias
de que sus familias
deben dirigir sus vidas.
deben dirigir sus vidas.
Y desde luego,
Y desde luego,
no están dispuestos
no están dispuestos
a dejar que sus empleados opinen.
a dejar que sus empleadores opinen.
Ah, bien. So, rechazar is very much connected to this verb of negarse. Negarse is to refuse. Rechazar is to reject. Refuse, reject, same action, different words for the same action, just like we have refuse and reject. And rechazan, they reject the traditional idea that their families ought to dirigir, direct. Yeah, dirigir means to conduct or direct something. That their families should, well, we would say run their lives. Yeah. And besides, they are not disposed to letting their employers stick their nose into this. Yeah. They are not disposed to letting their employees have an opinion or stick their nose into this
Marilyn,
business. See,
desde luego is a chunk,
it is a
correct?
chunk.
And what does it mean again?
Uh, Besides,
Okay.
or of course, yeah. Bien. Ok. A ver. Bien, 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 bien. Mariana, let's make sure we get that you get some time in. See?
Okay.
Oh, and you've got, you know what? It's not hard. Even though it's a millions number, Mariana, you've got an easy millions number because you just need the little number. Yeah. See? El año pasado
El año pasado
se casaron
que se casaron
6.1
6.1
millones de parejas chinas.
millones de parejas chinas.
Un descenso
Un descenso
del 20%
del 20%
respecto al año anterior.
respecto al año anterior.
See, last year, 6.1 million Chinese couples got married, a decline of 20%. See, 20%, 20%, in respect to the previous year. La población china
La población china
ha descendido
ha descendido
durante 3 años
durante 3 años
consecutivos.
consecutivos.
Bien, and here we have a true present perfect. Chinese population has gone down, descended, and durante means during, but we would probably say for 3 consecutive years. But here we've got the descendido connected to the a. Yeah. So
Marilyn?
we know it's a tense. Sí, Lori.
Question. So why did they choose the ha descendido instead of just making it plain past tense?
Okay, buena
That's what I
pregunta.
don't understand.
Why not just descendió, went down? Well, the descendido tells you that it's over with, it went down. It's a past idea, but it's a past idea that is making its effect known still right now. So one of the jobs, one, not the only, but one of the jobs of this present perfect is that it's a past event, but it's got a carryover that still is present with us in the here and now. And that's why it's a present perfect. That's kind of a philosophical thing, I guess, when you think about it. But yeah. And what tenses is chosen sometimes reflects the emphasis that the writer has. The emphasis here is that, wow, uh, population went down, but that is carrying over and it's affecting us right now. It's not just done with. And now we're over with that. We can go on with our merry little lives. No, it's affecting us in the here and now. That's the reason for that choice.
So would it be wrong to not do it this way? Like just if you were speaking, like and if so, would that be
So many times in the past, when I have
perfect?
altered these articles for you, and I said, they're not used to this compound tense so much. I would take that sentence and I would change it to something like this. La población descendió, because I knew people understood descendió. Or you could also use, instead of descendió, bajó. It went down. Okay. So that structure for the average intermediate Spanish student is way easier to understand than ha descendido. But the subtle clue about choosing about a writer, and notice this is in written language, not in chit chat between two people. Yeah. Written language tends to be more formal. And the choice of this ha descendido is to tell you this figure, this statistic went down, but it has an effect in the here and now. And that's the reason often for a writer to choose this tense over this easier tense. They're giving you a subtle hint that there's a consequence, and the consequence is something we're still living with. Yeah. So often in the past, when I came across things like that, I would flip it to a different past tense so that it was easier for you to read and get quickly. See? Bien?
Gracias.
Can you say it a different way? Yes, you can say it a different way. But of course, language, forms matter. And in written language, it often tends to be, yeah. They tend to send these subtle hints through the choice of a tense. Sí, ok, un poquito más, sí. Las autoridades
Las autoridades
han intentado
han intentado
revertir,
revertir
do this, revertir estas tendencias.
estas tendencias.
The authorities have tried to
Reverse.
yeah, revertir, reverse these trends, okay? And I could just say intentó or intentaron, they tried, pretérito. I could even make it intentaban, they were trying. I could do that. But the intent was they tried, and this is carrying over even now in the here and now.
They
Yeah.
tried and they're still trying.
Yeah, they have tried to reverse these tendencies. Los funcionarios
Los funcionarios
han visitado
han visitado
a las mujeres en sus casas
a las mujeres en sus casas
para preguntarles
para preguntarles
si planean
si planean
embarazarse. You know what? I'm going to change that one. That's because that makes more sense. It was embarazarse.
embarazarse.
See? Funcionarios means the bureaucrats, the government guys, the feds, in their case, their feds, have visited women at home to ask them if they are
Get pregnant.
planning to get pregnant. Sí. Han publicado
Han publicado
propaganda
propaganda
afirmando
afirmando
que el embarazo
que el embarazo
puede hacer más inteligentes
puede hacer más inteligentes
a las mujeres.
a las mujeres.
They have published propaganda affirming, we're just trying to make you guys comfortable with this idea, that pregnancy can make women more
Intelligent.
intelligent. Wow. I don't know about you ladies, but I have not found that to be no, I have not found that to be necessarily true.
I'll have to ask my daughter if she feels smarter lately.
You do learn new skills. That part is true. You learn how to pin or tape that diaper up. You learn how to burp. You do learn certain skills, but yeah. Okay. Bien. I don't want to get too far past our time. I will leave the rest of this for you to read. No hay mucho más. There's really not too much more to read. Una página, one page, so it won't be that bad. It won't be that bad. See, bien. We'll give you a listening video for the week. And next week, we will take some of that thing with the participles. How do you know how we're using it? Some examples that we can put into practice to make it a more comfortable kind of process. Sí, todo bien. ¿Todo bien? Bien.
Sí.
See,
Excelente.
that was a really, really good class, Marilyn. You clarified a lot of
Oh,
things that were
gracias.
confusing. So, really
Muchas
good
gracias.
class. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Many thanks. Ok. Bien. Vale, sí. El misterio del pasado, the mystery of the past. Past takes many forms. And gee, it's confusing, but the more examples you hear, the more natural it becomes. It's just that whole exposure thing, practice thing. Ok. Excelente. Nos vemos entonces la semana que viene. Yes, I will see you guys next week. I am preparing for 6 or 7 people coming to Phoenix.
Wow.
Boy,
Mi casa no está preparada. Lo único que puedo decirles, the only thing I can tell you guys, es que mi casa no está preparada para todos mis suegros, for all my in-laws. Wow. Va a ser interesante.